was brought up Christian, I would say, but even so, going to church, and it wasn't always, because I moved around a lot when I was younger, so it wasn't like I had a home church. My family didn't always go to church. I remember periods when we did and periods when we didn't. But Christ has always been in my heart, and so when I was like a senior in high school, I had a friend that brought me to church, and I would go Friday night youth groups, and that was really important to build friendships, and I think that was the beginning of the foundation at that point. And then for many years after that, I fell away, and so it was until I had my daughter, and that was really the first time I went back to church as an adult and stayed. Just after I had my first daughter is when I started going back to church, and I remember I was nursing her, and she was a few months old, and there was an earthquake. And growing up in California, it's like earthquakes are, you sleep through them, nothing, right? But I don't know, it was like God spoke to me, and I just felt like I have to, once you have this child in your arms, something changes. And I thought, okay, I need to give her something more, and so I started going back to church at that point. I mentioned this earlier just a little bit, but I think it's important to just acknowledge that, these gifts that I have are from God, and the Bible, God values beauty in things, in buildings and things. When they're building the tabernacle, there's very specific instructions on how it's to be made with beautiful things and garments that are beautiful. And so I think there's an appreciation for that. So, try to glorify God through just acknowledging that all the work that I have is from Him, and also that being able to utilize those talents at maybe my church, or being able to do pro bono jobs. I'm doing like a library decorating project right now, at my daughter's library, her elementary school. So they sent out an email asking for volunteers, if you're crafty or whatever. So I feel like this is my way of kind of giving back. And also, I teach Sunday school once a month, and so the classroom, I hope it's a blessing to others, because I try to, help the teachers with decorating it and changing it seasonally, and making the spaces. I mean, if ever, they need me to help with anything in the future, I'd be happy to. We have an outreach program, so it's like, Easter, Christmas party. So I try to help with things like that, like decorating the room for a Christmas party. And so using my gifts, freely to help with things like that, maybe is a pain for someone else to do, or they don't have an eye for it. So it's like, oh, we'll just, they don't know what to do. And then for me, it's like, I'm always overflowing with ideas. So it's nice because I get to use it all the time, right? And when you're a creative person, you actually, kind of have to do things all the time, because if not, I don't know, you have to like exercise it. So it's good that I get the opportunity to. You know what? I can see that happening, because some clients are not that easy. Not that they're mean, right?
Yeah.
But that they are indecisive. Sometimes there's some frustration because they've hired me, but then they don't respond, and I have detailed everything, and I need them to make a decision, and then they don't, and then sometimes then on their schedule, okay, well, let's get back on this. And then, so for me, those things, I think that's a good point. I think those things are a challenge, and it's time for me to turn to God and say, okay, give me patience and understanding, because everyone is going through their lives too, right? And they have things going on. And so decorating, their house or remodeling is not, at the top of the list. So to me, it's like, well, you've hired me, we're getting started. Let's, we need to focus on this project. Just like when you're getting married and you hire someone to help you with that, well, you have a time, right? And so you need to get focused on that. So that's my job. But sometimes the clients it's not as important to them, or they don't work the same way as me. So that's kind of difficult. So as I said earlier, I think that God appreciates architectural beauty and things like that, because in the Bible, you know, he gives very clear instruction, detailed instruction, you know, on how to build the tabernacle, and he names some of those artisans by name multiple times, you know. I mean, there are people in the Bible that they don't even have names, you know, they're not mentioned by their names, but these are mentioned by their names, you know. And so I believe that it's important. It may seem like an unimportant job compared to a doctor or whatever, but yeah, I think that it is a gift by God. It is important, and that you can give back, you know, like if you are a painter or a photographer, there's so many things you can do to glorify God for that. I mean, you can make videos to share with people about God, right? Or, you know, things that help people, like what you guys are doing, or photography, you know, or painting to make a space more beautiful at church, or in maybe nonprofit organizations that need, you know, that they don't have the money and they can't pay for certain things. And I mean, I think that we are given those gifts to do that. Who's going to do that, you know? I think that the Christians are called to do that too.